Alright guys, I'm making this video. Sorry I look like garbage today. My allergies have been really bugging me. I didn't even want to make a video today, but I'm kind of behind on my schedule. I try to make it like 2 to 3 weeks in advance now, just in case something happens with work or whatever. So you guys will be watching this video when it is relevant. At the beginning of July, I think, is when I'm going to schedule this one. So obviously by the thumbnail and the title, you already know what this is going to be about. This is going to be about pride fatigue. I might make a lot of fatigue videos. I actually did make a black fatigue video, but I wasn't comfortable releasing it on YouTube because, again, I don't know the rules yet. But if you guys want to check that video out, you can go over to my Odyssey and my BitChute channels. And maybe I'll put one on YouTube at some point, but I feel like my channel is shadow banned right now, because some of these videos are getting like no views, and I don't really understand why. I mean, maybe the content sucks, you know. I'm not opposed to that, you know. If I'm not the greatest, I'm not the greatest. I know I tend to ramble a lot on these videos, like I'm doing now, so apologize for that. But by the way, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Joey. This is the Jigsaw 0097 channel. Like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, all that fun stuff. But yeah, Pride Month, guys. I'm making this video obviously in the year 2025, so we've had Pride Month for like, I don't know when it was officially put into place, but I basically just consider the beginning of all of this to be 2015, because I remember I was working at Walmart at the time. I was actually working an overnight job at Walmart while I was in college, and I remember it was that summer actually. So yeah, it was literally 10 years ago, pretty much, to me making this video, that Obama passed gay marriage, right? And I immediately knew. I mean, I remember I talked to family members in like 2014, 2013 about the slippery slope fallacy, and you know, how this is going to open the gates to everything. And you know, my prediction was that bestiality would come before PDF file, but I guess I was wrong on that one. But I basically told everyone that I knew, or that would listen, that this is going to be very, very, very bad. and I just remember the response at the time was kind of like, oh, you're a bigot. Oh, you just hate gay people, blah, blah, blah. You're a homophobe. I got called that a lot. And then they say things like, you know what, man, I'm happy for him. I kept hearing that all the time. Keep in mind, too, this was at a time when like I said, I was in college. So, like, everyone around me was, like, going into student loan debt. It's, like, wild to think about these things in retrospect. Everybody around me was, like, going into student loan debt, and a lot of them were probably gay themselves, or they were just having like casual sex, going out and partying and drinking. And this is kind of what the millennials did in our 20s. I didn't do any of that. I actually avoided it for the most part. But for you younger people that think that, you know, it's really bad for your generation, which, you know, it is, but the millennials, they kind of just bought hook, line, and sinker into this. Like, at least the Zoomers, I'm seeing a lot of the Zoomers have a lot of resistance to this kind of like propaganda. But with the millennials, man, it was so depressing as like a millennial like myself. Like, I don't know, I'm a younger millennial, so maybe I am closer to a Zoomer, but it was obvious what was going to happen. I mean, it was obvious that, you know, it was like in, I can't remember the exact law, so don't quote me on this, but there's a certain thing that happened in regards to pornography, we could say, in the 2000s. And essentially what it did is it made, just to be completely blunt, I guess, it made sodomy legal. So sodomy was not legal before, I think, 2004. And again, I was so young then. I would have been like, I think I was like 15 or something in 2004, 15 or 16. But this just kind of shows you how fast these things change, right? So yeah, you could even look at it like that. 2004 was basically 10 years before 2015. And now 2015 was 10 years before now. So it's like every 10 years, you kind of see more and more of a progression of this degeneracy. And of course, it all started with feminism. I've talked about that before. Like once you start disincentivizing families, introducing birth control to women, you have now introduced promiscuity into the populace, into the ethos, the metaphysical, whatever you want to call it. And you've set your society on the path, basically. To where you eventually will get to homosexuality, sodomy, PDF file, bestialities, any man. Now we're entering AI. There's going to probably be all sorts of like AI sex things in the future, right? Like robots. And this is artificial wombs, right? IVF. I've talked about how I'm against that in the past. And so, yeah, it's like you just can't let these things out of the box. We used to have shaming mechanisms. We used to have, as I've argued in the past, we used to have some kind of morality that came from Christianity. But when you discard all that and you just go pure secularist, pure pleasure, pure individualist, right? This is why the Libertarian Party is so cringe, because for one, they're never wrong, because the Libertarian Party always wants to leave themselves an out, right? Oh, well, that wasn't true libertarianism, right? It's like the no true Scotsman fallacy is always what the libertarians do. And then another problem with the libertarians is they're the safe right, essentially. They've just been co-opted by the communists to be the acceptable version of right wing in America. And the reason for that is because they never get anything done, right? Like I think getting Ross Ulbricht free was like the only thing that libertarians have ever done in my lifetime. Because Ron Paul didn't get elected, Trump is not a libertarian. Maybe I'll give him Bitcoin too. I don't know if that was a complete libertarian project, but I'll give him Bitcoin, I guess, because I think that will pay off. But as far as matters of morality, matters of governance, matters of order, no, it's not going to happen. And in many ways, actually, the libertarians fully supported this. That was another thing when I was younger, is it was very popular to be a libertarian. It's like, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a libertarian. And a big thing about that was, gay rights, feminism. I know they exist everywhere now, but I remember the first time I met a male feminist. It was when I was doing Amway. I've talked about that in the past, about how I did Amway for a year. And I'd never really met like a true male feminist. I'd met guys that kind of paid it lip service. They're like, oh yeah, I support women. I support their rights. They never said right to choose. That wasn't in the lexicon yet. They would just say, I support women's rights. That usually meant like things like voting. Because again, millennials were still young. We hadn't entered this we're all in our 30s, almost 40s now, bastard children everywhere, abortions, all these women in porn now that are just completely ruined themselves. We were just on the beginning of that, the beginning of that trajectory, 10, 15 years ago. And yeah, so I'd encountered them before, but the first time, it was very late in my timeline, you could say. The first time I ever met a male feminist was in 2017 when I was doing Amway. And if you guys have ever done MLMs, I'm not advocating for MLMs. I think MLMs are kind of bogus for the most part anyway now. But that's another thing millennials were encouraged to do. I'll just try all these things, right? I went to college, didn't do anything for me. Then I started working a 9 to 5. I realized I hated it. I did find out about Bitcoin, but I didn't take it. I hadn't taken it seriously yet. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to try this MLM thing, right? I had a buddy reach out to me, and so I'm bringing all that up to say one of the things you do when you're in MLM is you try to recruit people. You try to get people signed up to be on your team so that you guys can like go to conferences together and start the business together and show the plan together, blah, 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 blah. So this guy, I think it was I went and saw the movie Alien Covenant. So yeah, this would have had to have been in 2017, because that would have been the summer of 2017, because that was when Alien Covenant came out. It was that summer. And you know, like I said, I was in this habit of like showing the plan and blah blah blah. So I was like forcing myself to talk to people, which, you know, whatever. So this guy is. We get done with the movie, and you know, this was back when like theaters were like somewhat full, right? Again, you got to remember this was all pre-COVID, so like people actually still went to movies. You could go to movies where there'd be like dozens of people and not just like 5. But yeah, like the movie ends, and as I was walking out, he just started talking to me about something. I can't remember. Like we started talking about the movie, basically about like face huggers or something, you know, alien stuff. And I was like, hey, I did my thing. Hey, I'm doing Amway. Would you be interested in meeting? That's what you'd always try to do. You try to get him to meet at like a coffee shop. And he agreed. Obviously, we met, and then I found out what a male feminist was, to kind of like, not to like, I'm kind of rambling again. I apologize, guys, but basically it led to me, because like when you did MLMs, you had to kind of become more personable with them. You wanted to like build repertoire with them, even more so than you would with like a coworker. You would almost like treat them like they're your team, right? So this guy, he just wouldn't shut up about women's rights. I remember that was another thing. I went and saw Wonder Woman with him, because that came out that year too, and the way he acted in the theater was so cringe. He was like cheering when she was like doing these like strong whammon things, and I actually don't really mind that movie, by the way. The first Wonder Woman's decent, but there is a lot of feminism in there, and he was just like cheering it on and then yeah, we started talking, and I basically kind of like told him like that I think feminism is gay. Basically, I was like, I think feminism is stupid. It's brainwashed women. And I remember he just kind of like freaked out. He's like, I am a male feminist. He's like, I'm a male feminist. I believe in women's rights. And then he basically said, you know, and if you can't see that, then I just don't think that this can work out. And he basically like left. He left my organization because of that. But I'll never forget that, because that was he said something too in there where he supports gay rights. I do remember that specifically. And I don't remember, I think it was just called LGBT back then. See, this is how fast things change. But he was saying, oh, I support the pride, I support the LGBT. And yeah, that was kind of like my first encounter with this. That was like the whole point of me telling you that story, really. It's not just the male feminist thing, but this ideology that is pride. It's mostly gay, but it's really just degeneracy. It's kind of what I'm titling the video, right? A month of degeneracy. That's the whole point of this. When you go deeper into it, it gets even more sinister, because obviously the goal of this whole thing is to get people as young as possible to, you know, become deviants themselves. You know, this goes even more meta to like MK Ultra, of like why these things are the way they are, but it's called trauma-based mind control, as I've talked about in the past, and that's pretty much what Pride Month is. And that's why I'm calling the video Pride Fatigue, because I think that's another tactic, is they want you to be so tired, so beaten down by all this, that you just kind of give up the ghost. And you know, I feel that way a lot now, because I'm getting older. You know, it's just sheer age at this point. I'm like, I just don't have time or energy to be like an activist about this crap anymore. Like, even against it, right? Like COVID, man, it feels like that never ended, and it's never gonna end, and they're just gonna have something else for us in 2030, and this whole pride thing, right? Like putting the woke away. It's going to sleep, but it's like, is it gone? We're heading right towards an iceberg right now. It's the only way I see it. So yeah, pride fatigue, guys. And you know, it hasn't happened as much this year, but yeah, like the logos at my job right now, they're talking about it. Like, I don't even know how to talk to people when they bring this up. Like, it's like, dude, I don't want to talk about Pride Month. I don't want to think about this ever. So that was another thing that they did in 2015. Oh, what happens behind the privacy of their door is none of your concern. That was like a huge argument. It's like, these people have no concept of keeping any of this stuff private. Everything they do has to be as public as possible, because they have something to prove to the world. They know that what they're doing is degenerate and wrong, but instead of, you know, repenting and, you know, confessing, removing themselves of their sin, they just have to buckle down. And that's basically what trauma-based mind control MK Ultra is that, you know, I'm guilty. I don't want to repent, so I'm going to make all of you guilty with me, so that we're all guilty together, right? It's like the strategy of, like, if I'm going to sink, I'm going to make sure you all sink too. Very, very selfish mentality. So anyway, guys, that's kind of the video. Like I said, very low energy today. It's Sunday, so I'm, you know, dreading the week ahead, but was just sitting out here and I was like, you know, it is June right now. It is Pride Month. I've been seeing it all over. I'm tired. So let's make the video about pride fatigue. So I don't feel like I talked about it as much, but I was giving you guys my story, you know, just how this has progressed, you know, how predictable it all was. You know, I wish I could apologize to the younger generations, but, you know, I don't feel like I have anything to apologize for, because I've never advocated for this. I've always been disgusted by it, and yeah, now it's here, and it's actually worse than I imagined, because, like I said, I thought they would go after animals first. I thought, you know, I knew they'd get bored of the whole gay thing, and they'd advance the degeneracy. You know, anime is a big part of it, furries, all this stuff. But yeah, it's all headed one place, guys. Sodom and Gomorrah. That's the only place this is headed. Weimar, Germany. You can look into that. I always say the people accuse the mid-century German of burning books. I hear that one a lot, right? Oh, he's such a tyrant. He burnt books. But then I just tell people, you know, well, do you actually know the books that he was burning? You know, I'm not going to say that on YouTube, but if you guys want to look that up, it's not too hard to find. So yeah, happy Pride Month 2025, guys. Let's just hope that this ends sooner rather than later and we can get back to some form of reality. But yeah, that's the video, guys. Like it if you got all the way to the end here. I really appreciate it. Comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll talk to you all later.